News dropping today, according to Andrew Lopez, sources have confirmed that the Pelicans have declined the $1.8 million team option on Herb Jones, making him a restricted free agent. The team is hopeful they can lock him into a longer deal once free agency begins, and the Pelicans will be able to match any deal Jones receives. Joined by Jarrett. We were just talking Five about all just the cap space and what this means and so on and so forth. So some people got freaked out. But what do you see the Pelicans doing here moving forward? Because from my perspective and from what I'm reading, it looks like that an extension and 4 years, 50 mil is what they're going to be looking at for Herb Jones.
Pelicans fans of Boo Crew, fans of Pro Pels Talk, this is a good thing. This is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. You want them to kind of work out a long-term deal now rather than wait till unrestricted free agency of next year and it's the Pels versus the Sharks of the NBA. Like, this is an elite defender versus all of the NBA and all of their markets to get a guy that should have been all defensive team, but basically because of, just face it, Zion and Brandon not playing and a team not playing well, he's not even on the all defensive team, which he should have been since his rookie year. So get this deal done. Let's say 4 years, $52 million. I think that's the range that they're looking at.
It's around that, right? And Schmidt did a really good article a couple days ago. If you haven't checked out, make sure you check out his Substack on his Twitter. But he broke this down. There's 3 options, and this is one of his first options. And what it looks like, Jarrett, is the first year will be, which is this year, will be 11 million, then 12 million, then 13 million, then 14 million. So a total of 4 years, 50 million. Jarrett, we just talked about this, and this is why I love hearing what you have to say, because you appreciate basketball, but you see the game within the game, and what a lot of things that Herb Jones does not show up on a box score a lot. And he covers up that defense was 6 rated, whatever it was at the end of the year. It's because of Herb Jones. Herb Jones is the anchor. He is the leader of that team on the defensive side of the ball. If he shoots 35, 36% from deep, he is a legit player. That's his one downside that everyone talks about. He's not that great of a shooter. You can work on that. But with Herb Jones, and you see that kind of deal, Jared, do you think that's a fair market value for Herb Jones? 4 years, 50 mil.
I low-key think it's a steal, to be honest. I think he's going to get better. I think you look at it, I kind of compare it to a guy that's on the opposite spectrum of Herb. You look at a guy like Duncan Robinson. A couple years ago, he got $20 million for being a good shooter. And he's fluctuated up and down. And at some points of last year, before the playoffs started, he could barely get minutes. It was almost like that was like one of the worst contracts in the NBA.
Yep.
Like, Herb does something daily, nightly on the defensive end that you can pencil in. And just surrounding him with better players and better offensive players kind of makes his stock kind of rise. And to be honest, Herb didn't shoot the ball in Alabama. Like, we're looking at a guy that never shot the ball, and now we're putting him in a corner that, they were putting him in a corner, asking him to make 38%. Like, that's not realistic for a guy like that. That's not realistic. Right. When they put him in actions, his 3-point percentage rose. And I think that's a kind of a testament to Herb. Like, no, he's a basketball player, and asking him to do something that's out of, his spectrum is kind of messed up. It's not like doing him any due diligence, but, getting him for, 52 million for 4 years is an absolute steal. I think the Pelicans are in a good place when it comes to Herb.
And look, man, we and Lito talks about it, and Chris and Chaz and even Ross talks about it, like involving him in the action. That's your best case scenario with Herb Jones. When you stuck him in a corner, you saw he wasn't involved. He's just kind of standing there. He's a great slasher. He's a high IQ player. He can finish at the rim. I mean, people only talk about his athleticism. I mean, he can catch a couple bodies too. Like, he can go get that, he can play above the rim. Another thing, it's not a volume shooting thing, Jarrett, but shit, he shot 41% in the month from deep. He shot 41% in the month of March.
Yeah.
He shot 41% in the month of March. That's 15 games, and then closed the season shooting 61% from deep. He had a really, really bad start to the season. There's no denying that. He was definitely hurt. His knee wasn't right, but I think after the All-Star break, you kind of saw him take into a second gear, and he started hitting shots. He started having the ball more at the top of the key. I like the way, and now you bring in Borrego. I'm interested to see how he plays in Borrego's system, if he's signed, of course, and then obviously playing off Zion. A couple other things. Najee opts in. I think it's a $1.8 million contract. Want to hear your thoughts on this. No Billy Hernan-Gomez and Jackson Hayes. I thought that was kind of surprising. We'll see what happens. They declined a $7.7 million offer. Do you think that Jackson Hayes and the Pelicans will work out a deal and he'll come back next year?
I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest. I mean, not extending that qualifying offer is just saying like they believe that he's going to get a lower deal, a lower number in free agency. And for Jackson's potential, I think this is the Pels saying like, no, we're kind of throwing in a towel on Jack, which is kind of, I'll be honest, that's what it looks like, right? Not extending a qualifying offer for a guy like that, or at least using that number to bring in somebody else to kind of be a filler for a sign and trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not doing that at least is kind of troublesome, especially for another guy like Willie Hernan-Gomez, right? Which I think has a lot of potential in the game, in the NBA game, in the way he plays against Joker and Embiid. Like somebody else could use him, and we could have got something. I mean, the team could have got something in return for those two types of players. Now you look at it like, okay, what if they both leave? Now you kind of be stuck, right?
Right now that's a really good point. Bobby Marks just came out and you nailed it on the head. Jared, you said so. Max contract will be 4 years, $53 million. And he says New Orleans is skirting right around the luxury tax before free agency opens. So there's been a lot of moving parts here. You know, we talked about there was a report today. I forget. I think it might have been Fisher that came out with it saying Jake Fisher saying that Kyler Lewis is on the trade block. Obviously, you have Jonas Valanciunas. Is Najee Marshall. There's going to be a lot of moving parts over the next couple of days. Obviously, you just heard about the James Harden move. This is one of my favorite times of the year. Last thing, and you know Jose's close to a lot of players, but I thought this was an interesting tweet, Jarrett. Jose quote tweets saying, "Oh boy, that bag about to get bigger." Yes, sir, Brody. You got to think the Pelicans have already worked something out with her. You got to think, right?
That you know us. You know, most people think this is a Herb Jones podcast. Yeah, that deal's already been set in stone. Just waiting on that that I guess that deadline to surpass, and like, hey, we're gonna just kind of slow this thing out. Hopefully, get this done right before summer league. Get it all situated. That way, you don't have to worry about for the summer. You can go work out and you'll have your money.
Yeah. Final thought. What do you think of James Harden going to Clippers?
It just seems like another failed attempt at something. I don't see how this really works. I mean, I like James. I think he's a really good talent. I think he has to change his game a little bit. One, because of injuries, the other because of older age and the way basketball is kind of being played. Bro, I went to Houston a lot, and I watched him play. And to score 50 and have a triple double, he made it look very, very easy. I don't care if you say he manipulated the refs a lot. I don't care. Like, bro, to do that against other NBA players is very, very difficult. He's an automatic Hall of Famer. Top
change the game. Change the game. Completely
easily,
change the game.
Easily. And if you don't say he is pre-Luka before Luka, like you're crazy. You're crazy.
Just the way the game's played. Him and Steph Curry are two game changers, in my opinion. Like, actually changed the way basketball was played. It's gonna be interesting. Look, Schmidt just tweeted something out saying that the Kings can maybe get in on a Herb Jones. You got to think, man. So with the good thing about this, with being restricted free agency, the Pelicans get the last crack at it. So, if the Kings offer Herb Jones, whatever it may be, the Pelicans come in and be like, no, we can match it. And since we have the bird rights, we can get that.
I.e. DeAndre Ayton last year, he got a huge deal from Indiana. Like, the Phoenix Suns matched it like instantly. It was like almost like 2 minutes later. Like, oh no, we're gonna match.
And the last thing before we log off, man, like, congratulations to Herb Jones. I mean, you want to talk about a second round pick, like, he kind of like an afterthought. I mean, and since day one, he's been a huge part of this team and this culture. And I'm just happy for the guy. I mean, we hear all the time, Jared, you see it all the time. He's one of the hardest workers. He's the first one in, he's the last one out. He always looking to get better. This is awesome. I hope he gets paid. So there's gonna be a lot of more moving parts. So we shall see. Like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear your thoughts on if the Pelicans should re-sign Herb Jones. Love to hear about Najee Marshall, Jackson Hayes, and Billy Hernan-Gomez. But 5 and I signing out. We'll see y'all probably later this weekend. I'm sure some news will drop. We might do some breaking YouTube posts as well. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We will see y'all later.